Hi, welcome back to this special episode of Leading London, powered by Vorboss and at their offices in central London. I am with Jose Paris, who is the head of operations for Streetscope. Welcome to the Leadership Enigma. How are you?
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Now, I know this is our second start to it. It's great. We'll have the bloopers reel as well. Tell us a little bit about the organisation you're currently working for.
Yeah, Streetscope is a company based in the US, in California, and we're basically measuring the safety of any vehicle on any road, whether that vehicle is an autonomous vehicle or a regular vehicle. That's what we do.
So my obvious question is, how on earth do you do that?
There's some computer vision involved. There's a proprietary algorithm. There's a lot of math and physics behind it, but essentially it's something that we can do with a simple camera at the moment. We don't need anything too sophisticated to just collect the data.
And are these your cameras, or are you tapping into the safety of traffic cameras throughout the entire network?
It could be both. And with autonomous vehicles, for instance, autonomous vehicles already collect so much data that actually they already get these tracks, as we call them, and that simplifies our job dramatically.
So you're a software business?
It is a software business, yes.
Okay, so a software that can go into a car or into a camera. Yes. What kind of data are you capturing then from this?
At the moment it's vision, as I said, but ideally as in vision, as in MP4 videos. But we can also use, as I said, just the data that some sensors give us, for instance, lidar or the other kind of sensors that autonomous vehicles have, where they already do all the pre-math and all the path making.
Okay, so there's a real science there. So what are some of the insights or benefits that will come out of having this software within cars, within cameras?
Well, what we've been saying now for several years is that as autonomous vehicles in particular are more and more out there, and they're getting more into our lives, one of the main problems is that there is not really a good way or an objective way to measure their safety. Everybody says that they're safer than last year and safer than 5 years ago, but there's no really way to tell. Everybody uses their own proprietary numbers, and we want to be a company that actually says, kind of sets a standard.
Now, Streetscope is based where?
In Los Angeles.
In Los Angeles. And I've worked over the West Coast and spent time in Silicon Valley, where you start to see the autonomous vehicles driving around the streets. How have they changed, in your mind over the last 5 years, say?
Autonomous vehicles, you mean? Well, they're real now. I mean,
they're certainly a reality.
They're definitely a reality. Although with the same team, we started a previous company called AIPod. This was back in 2016, I believe, 2017. And we actually, my first experience in an autonomous vehicle was here in the UK with the guys of Oxbotica. So that technology already existed. It was just not as obviously as developed today.
And where do you think we're going to end up? So if I kind of shuttle us forward 5 years, what would you say we'll start to see or not on the streets of London?
In the streets of London, I think they will be here almost for sure. I think that it only takes you a couple of trips to realize that it's actually a bit of magic. I think in terms of distribution all over the world for every single use, that's going to take much longer. Okay. And I think that as a recovering car nut, I'm not a car person, I think anymore, but I think that many people have been saying that just the regular cars, as we think about them today, they'll become sort of horses.
Okay. So who are the customers for Streetscope?
We have insurers, we have infrastructure providers, we have autonomous vehicle manufacturers, of course, and there's some technical suppliers that are also quite interested when they do vehicle development. And
what's it like for you? Obviously, you're here in London, but the HQ is in California. Yeah. So help me understand a little bit about your role and how you're managing that, because I'm assuming you've got a team or people in London, but then you're probably leading people far away.
At the moment, the company is actually quite small, so we all work sort of like independently, 10 of us at the moment. But working in London is interesting. I think that we can do it now, which is a big difference compared with 5-10 years ago, definitely. The schedule, it's different than normal, obviously. All the meetings are in the afternoon, but I actually kind of enjoy it. I think that's good. And the company was set up remotely from day one.
Right.
So we have all been used to work this way, and I think it works well.
Would you still describe it as a startup?
It is, it is still a startup.
So what's attracted you? Because you like to try new things, don't you? Being a founder on a number of. So what's the appeal for you for a startup, for the messiness of a startup and the excitement?
Yeah, I think it's the possibility of working all across the board, of really touching every single kind of job, and that's my role at the moment.
Yeah.
In an early stage startup, kind of like the head of operations, that's what it does. It's a little bit like chief of staff. You do everything that maybe that no one else wants to do.
Right.
But I actually enjoy that. So one week I can be working on the website or on the marketing side of things. Another week or another day, like yesterday, might be implementing some API development work, or helping our CEO raise funds. I mean, there's many aspects.
You end up doing anything.
Yeah. So you end up touching every single thing, and you are involved in all the decisions, which I think is great. And as I grow older, I think that's what I'm discovering, that I'm much more of a generalist than at the beginning of my career.
So for you, where did this attraction to being a founder, being in the startup world come from? Why is this such a focus for you?
I think that in my early career, when I started, my original dream was to be a car designer, which was quite a dream back then, back in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And what I discovered afterwards is that a lot of the things that I have to deploy to manage to get the scholarship to take me to the US, et cetera, all this sort of like self-improvement, actually, it's a lot of the things that you need as well, at least to start a company. Not necessarily to succeed, but definitely to start. There's a certain level of grit that you have to have from very early on, and believe in yourself and believe in the idea that you have as well, that it actually translates pretty well from my original design work and career to entrepreneurship.
Now, you said earlier that you've founded some businesses which haven't worked out, they haven't gone where you've wanted them to go. So how do you deal with that setback? How do you deal with having to maybe take one step back before you move forward again? So where's that resilience coming from for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely not easy. You definitely go through a period where really it's hard to sort of put down your baby, quite frankly. But you also have to be you also have to be realistic at a certain point. I think that's in my case, I tend to set up some goals, time goals in particular, and I always succeeded. It always takes I spend more time on it than what I set up at the beginning. But I think it's good to be a little bit serious in terms of when you start, right, and do some fast and early testing, see if it actually makes sense.
You mentioned something really interesting there, because I know leaders of any size organization struggle sometimes to say no. Mm-hmm. How do you know when to stop? How do you know when to stop when you've tried an idea and you think, no, stop, it's not working, put it down and move on to something else? Because if it is your idea, you're personally attached to it. How do you know when to stop?
I think in my case, I think in the 3 times that I try, I think it was clear after a certain amount of time that I was probably too early, actually. And that's something that you only discover once you go into it.
And you're ahead of your time.
You're ahead of your time. I had that issue as well, actually, in my professional work as a car designer. And you just kind of learn somehow to sense it when you realize, okay, it's not that the idea is wrong. I guess that's a little bit of self-justification, of course, but it works. Yeah. It's not that the idea is wrong. It's not that you have done anything wrong in particular. Basically, timing was not right. And I think that's one of the truisms of entrepreneurship, is that timing is almost everything, quite frankly. Okay. And if you're too early or you're too late, then it's almost doesn't matter.
So where's home for you originally?
Originally in Madrid.
Which is a beautiful, beautiful place. Mm-hmm. What's it like for you living and leading in London compared to maybe the wonders of Madrid?
I really like London, I have to say. And this sounds funny perhaps, but after 13 years in California and Los Angeles, a completely different city, which I also love as well.
It's a city that's struggling right now as we sit here.
Mm-hmm. So a city that I also love, but that was so completely different. Coming back to London, I have to say, one of my first impressions was like, oh, this kind of reminds me of Madrid. And I think of course, architecture is different and scale is different, but there was something about the walkability of the city, I don't know, there was something that really all of a sudden made me feel very comfortable. And I think it's a wonderful place. And we came here, me and my wife, and the family, we came originally for 2 years, and it's been now 14.
Oh, wow.
and counting. So,
well, that's high praise indeed for this episode. We talk about leading London, because you're also now leading and living in London too.
Yep.
So what is the aspiration for you? I asked this question earlier of one of the guests and said, listen, none of us can predict the future. But you, in the role of head of ops in a startup where it is messy and it's sleeves rolled up, it's very hands-on, how far in advance are you looking? Is it, as head of ops, are you looking every 3 months, every year, every 3 years? What are some of the time frames that you're using?
Yeah, we normally. I think we are sort of like in a 3 months to 6 months.
Which is short, right?
Yes, yeah. A lot of it is. Some of it is strategic, but a lot of the work is also tactical. When you have a small team, you actually have to think that short term as well. You know, and how you distribute, you know, all the work that needs to happen. So. So that's kind of like the window that we're looking at, but definitely our aspiration midterm is to move on from it, and definitely become, you know, much larger and a reference in the industry. Mm-hmm.
Do you see 3 and 6 months as short term, or are you even thinking of that as medium term? Because again, startup timeframes are very different to traditional organizations, perhaps.
I think you start thinking that it's midterm, and then you realize it is actually short term.
Right. Okay. Or short term is day to day, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But you realize that actually, even thinking about that period of time, it actually goes really quick. Yeah. Very, very quick.
So how long has Streetscope's been in existence?
It was founded around the COVID period, so it was around. Yeah, it's been 5 years, I think.
Okay.
5.5 years. Yeah.
So from a business plan perspective, are you looking 3, 5? How many years are you business planning for?
Well, this is it. I mean, this is the time when we are we're starting to really get a little bit of traction this year. Things are really kind of improving. Good. And now sort of the sky is the limit. I joined the company 3 years ago. Right. So I didn't put up the work at the very, very early work. But the founders have this very clear vision of just taking their time and purposefully not seeking outside investors, which makes for a slower path, but it gives you a sense of freedom and ownership that it's also invaluable. So,
right. Yeah. So what would you say is the best piece of leadership advice that you've given or received in your career as a founder in the startup world? I
was actually reflecting on these, whether there was anything out there, and it's a little bit odd, but I'll come back to it. I think that growing up in a blue collar family, I didn't have that many examples of leadership or what you could do and what no. But for some reason, there was this movie that I watched when I was a teenager. Definitely not in my 20s, not even my 20s. The movie The Hustler with Paul Newman. And there's a scene in that movie that it just got stuck on my mind, which is when he mentions that Paul Newman's character has talent, and then George C. Scott says talent basically doesn't really matter, but you need this character, right? And it just kind of stuck to me, and I think that reflecting on it, I think that what it means, definitely the modern sentence, is that just because you think that you're good at something, it doesn't mean that that's going to do it.
Right. You
have to learn much more. You have to talk with other people. You have to evolve. That's one thing. And you also have to put the effort. You have to really work. And I think as a teenager somehow, which I already kind of knew the things I wanted to do, it stuck with me. And I thought, this is very interesting.
Well, we draw inspiration from anywhere, right?
It has taken me a long time to actually really realize that. Yeah, that's good inspiration. So,
Well, listen, I appreciate it. And as you say, we draw inspiration from anywhere. And I think as leaders of any size business, you've got to be a forever learner. Absolutely. Because things are changing so regularly. It's not just day to day, it's almost hour by hour. Absolutely. So thank you so much for being part of this special episode. I really appreciate it. And thank you for being part of, as I say, the Vorboss Tech Week experience.
Thank you.
Cheers.
All right.